I did post a video over what we covered yesterday, so I'm going to try to keep up with that. So if you need any help, let me get to this. Who did? Were you guys able to click on the form? Were you guys able to get on the form at all? So I did. I'm going to try to I'm going to try to post videos for every single lesson, so you guys have those. Next week we will meet, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's on the Zoom meeting document, and when you guys are absent, you'll fill out the learning log. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see the warm-up? I guess it is a little longer. Lisa, can you see the warm-up? Madison McKenzie? Yes, okay, all right, good. Okay, all right, so we'll take our time doing that. I'm sorry. Well, let me put the Can you hear it now?
No.
Oh my. I'm assuming you can hear it now.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Whew. I don't know why that. I guess. I wonder if I hit stop share. I wonder if it stops or something. That's so weird. Thank you for letting me know. I'm definitely trying to figure this out. I definitely think having a little bit of music is good for the warm up.
Why is it Spanish?
It doesn't matter what language it is, as long as it's good.
Well, I can't understand Spanish.
She's saying 1997, 1976. It's 1776 for the year 1776. 1976.
Sure.
Oh, 1976. Noventa is 90. 1976. 1976. I think that was the year of some revolution, or maybe it was the year she was born, or I'd have to remember. All right, I've got 3 people that turn it in. And this is just kind of what you take away. It's not, there's no right or wrong answer. But I saw this graph, and I really just think that getting information like this is really interesting. And so let me share with you what I take away. 1970, 1970. 1970. Look, I didn't even listen to the song. Where's the pause?
What was I supposed to be doing?
The warm up was posted on the chat. All right, so you guys see my screen? You guys see the Bridgewater report graphic?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, there's a lot here, and basically, the government does a very good job of collecting data about what's going on. And we talked about this yesterday, that they're really trying to keep people informed, and keep businesses informed for future business practices, right? I mean, you don't want to start a business unless you think that you can make money and that things are favorable. Another thing, I didn't get a chance to grab it, but I read yesterday that from the census that they took, and the census comes out every 10 years, that from 2010 to 2020, the city of Mount Washington has doubled. And you might live in Mount Washington, or you might drive through Mount Washington, and you might say, oh my gosh, like it is so much more traffic than it used to be, or things are developing so quickly. But you don't really have a true sense with data until the data is collected and shown. And so, I mean, if you're thinking about opening up a business like a restaurant or a dog grooming place, where do you put it, right? Do you put it in Shepherdsville? And you might consider Shepherdsville, but Shepherdsville did not grow very much by population. Certainly, I would say I see a lot more warehouses being built out here on this side, but there's a lot more people living in Mount Washington. So you might take that census data and say, okay, well, when I open up my business, I want to open it up in Mount Washington because that's where the people are, right? And that's kind of like this, like, what do you want to put your time and energy in developing your human capital into? Like, or what jobs do you want to prepare for? Do you want to prepare for something like production or office administration support, where you see negative change in employment share, or something like community and social service, where you have a decrease in real wages? I was trying to read this too, because it's flat. It's 4%. Yeah. And so, you know, it looks like there's changes in real wages for management. There's less of a share. So as a workforce, there's less. You know, there's fewer managers overall as a percentage. Not that it's the total, but it looks like they're making a lot more money. Or like, you know, if you do computer mathematics, you're going to make more money than if you were to go to personal care, service, or food preparation. So, you know, you can see how, you know, ideally, your what you want to do is you want to maximize your, you know, your earnings potential. And then, you know, obviously it's nuanced because you want to balance that with happiness. Like if you really want to be in personal care and service and that's what warms your heart, then you do it. But if you're looking to pay the bills and you're looking for a certain lifestyle, you know, you might want to look up at the occupational categories at the top, right? So let's see what you guys said. So highest income jobs have the biggest percent change real wages. Okay. So that's like the rich get richer. Yeah, I'd say I've noticed that. Prime age workers have been dropping out of the labor force. Did that show the age of the workers? I'm not sure if that shows by age. Oh yeah, so it talked about down there, right? Percentage prime age men not in labor force. Yeah, okay. So it did talk about, yeah, I didn't even get that far. Okay. Good job. Management makes the most average weekly salary. Yeah, food preparation makes less than 23. Yeah, the change in real wages happens after tax and the average wage. Yeah. So that actually answers the next question right there. The real change, the real wages, what real wages are is it's wages that are compared in the same dollars. So a dollar earned in 2005 is not the same as a dollar earned in 2020. Why? Because a dollar paid for a lot more back in 2005. Movie tickets were cheaper, food was cheaper, gas might have been cheaper. Gas is a weird one. What else? Big Macs would have been cheaper. You know, cars were cheaper. And so you can't compare 2005 prices and wages to 2020 without accounting for inflation. And when it uses the word real, it accounts and changes them so they're in the same units, essentially. Does that make sense? Let's see if anybody put that. Jobs that need a degree pay higher. Yeah, management has a -2 chance of employment share. Yeah, and that's as a percentage. And so there's more other workers other than management. It doesn't talk about actual workers. So the number of people in management might have increased, but as a percentage of total employment, it did not. The color and changes of wage on average wage could show it being decreased or increased. For example, green color is bigger the wages. Yeah, okay. Office administration supports what changes. Okay. Lower paid jobs have much less chance in wages than top paying jobs. Yeah, good. Listed question. What does employment share mean? Okay, so I think I touched on this. It means the share of like it talked about like prime working age men. And so how many percentage of those prime age men or the population is in that category? So, I mean, you could talk about total jobs as a number, or you could talk about total jobs as a percentage. And it just means that that share means just as a percentage. What is the difference of school compared to the highest salary and lowest salary made? That's a really good question. That's a really good question. We talked about the relationship, but we didn't talk, like you can't, everybody's different. So you might have school and you might make a super good salary, and you might have that same school and you might not get a super high salary. So everyone is different. Why are people dropping out of labor force? That's a great question. Why do people drop out of labor force? Why do people drop out of labor force? And this is happening right now. Abby, give me a reason why somebody might say, I quit, I'm not working anymore.
I don't know.
Have you ever known anybody that quit a job?
Yeah.
Why'd they quit?
Because of pay, they weren't making enough.
Okay. And then what'd they do? Did they quit in order to get a new job, or did they quit in order to do something better with their time?
They quit to get a new job.
Okay, so they got a new job. Okay, so I don't know if that would, that doesn't really drop out of the labor force. So if when you quit, quitting to stay in, I mean, you can quit and if you stay in the labor force, you're still in the labor force if you're looking for that job. But they do measure quit rate. There's something called a quit rate, and they measure how many employees quit, overall in the economy. And that is a great way to measure confidence in the job market, because the more people that are quitting, it means that these people think that they can get a better job. So a high quit rate is an indicator of a good economy. Dylan, do you know anybody that dropped out of that quit a job to do something else? Why do people drop out of work?
I don't know.
Can you think of a reason? Have you ever quit a job and didn't get another job?
No.
No, not yet. Okay. Dalton, Dalton, do you know why people drop out of the labor force?
They think there's too much competition,
I think, so they give up,
possibly.
possibly. Okay. Mackenzie, Madison, you guys have a thought?
They might not like the work environment.
They might not like the work environment. Yeah. So they might quit that job. If they go get another job, they're still in the labor force. Here's a good reason. I might drop out of the labor force. I might quit my job and not look for a job if I want to go back to school. So people might drop out of the labor force and they don't look for jobs because they're going to go get some other form of education, or maybe an internship that's not paid. If it is a paid internship, I think they're in the labor market, and then in the labor force. You might drop out of the labor force to raise kids. Like there's a lot of women and some men who, after they have kids, they say, I'm not going to work anymore. And it's worth my time to stay home and raise the kids, and I want to spend time with my family. Similarly, some people drop out of the labor force to care for elderly parents or elderly relatives. Sometimes people give up and they say, you know what, I'm not making enough money. I'm just gonna drop out of the labor force. And that might be retirement, where they drop out for good, or they might give up and they might drop out of the labor force and wait for a better economic time. Like, when they have more bargaining power, when they negotiate a salary. How accurate is this data for today's society? This was 2017, so 3 years ago. I would say that you should look at data before 2019 as kind of, you can see the way it's going. But I would also caution that anything after 2019 would be different, just because the pandemic, if you can see the trends, I think the pandemic accelerated a lot of trends. But I mean, things are different now since 2019. And so, you can go get this data, the current data. This Bridgewater probably puts out a report every 2 or 3 years. And so I would be much more interested in data post COVID, just because of how much that affected it. All right, so good job on that. I just thought that was really interesting, and I want you guys to be able to see what data is out there and be able to start reading it, because it would be, to me, I want you to have some information or know where the information is before you commit to education or a career. The more information you have before you start this journey of yours, the better off you should be able to make it. Okay. All right. So today we're going to do stuff on It's Your Paycheck 2. That is You guys probably turned in the mean versus median assignment, and I told you yesterday that the answer key for that was posted. I'm going to talk about that later on, but I want to get you guys started on FICA. So FICA is everybody's favorite. What are 3 things that are always permanent in society or that you cannot escape? Put down in the chat. What are things that are inevitable and you cannot escape, and that is everywhere? If you have 1 or 2 of them, then put down 1 or 2. And one of those answers is what we're talking about today. So let's see. I think I can decrease this. Come on. There we go. So here's the notes. So the notes are right here. Nobody's going to put down, come on, guys, what can you never avoid? Taxes. Yes, absolutely. Poverty in politics. Yeah, okay. I think you can hopefully avoid poverty. I hope you're more optimistic than that. I'm here to tell you that if you make good choices, you can avoid poverty, hopefully, unless things are way out of your control. The other one is death. And you can't avoid death. Death is going to happen, and taxes are going to happen. So it's your paycheck number 2. Don't do the discussion board. So right here, and Dylan, I'm going to have to get you set up on Econ Lowdown. If you go to the tech test assignment, it gives you the link for it. But do the pre-test and post-test and all that. Here's the learning target is I can calculate percentages, which is the math version of the learning targets posted on the lesson plan document. I completely agree with this. In society, we often talk about job title and salary as how you measure your success, and especially in the United States, it seems to be like ubiquitous. You're at a party and you ask, "What do you do for a living?" But there's more than salary and there's more than job title in this life, and you have to like yourself. This is a W-2. Who here has seen a W-2 yet? And you guys are pretty young, but has anybody gotten a W-2? Has anybody had their parents explain? Mackenzie says you have. Okay. And you worked at a fast food restaurant, right? Is that what you said yesterday? And were you the one that had that job at 15?
I work at Critter Connection.
Oh, Critter Connection. Okay. All right. So the W-2 is a form put out by the employer. It's not put out by the federal government. But if you get a W-2 in the mail, then the IRS also has your W-2. Okay. So the employer sends this out to you and the government at the same time. If you get a W-2 in the mail and you think, oh, I just won't tell anybody I got this W-2, you're mistaken. Now, not everybody that gets a W-2 is going to file taxes though, right? Because when you get a W-2, you, when you get wages, there's what's called a standard deduction. And so first of all, if you make very, very little, you might not make enough where you have to file for taxes. So there's that. And then if you make under the standard deduction, then you've already paid your taxes when you work. And so you don't have to pay any more. So just because you get a W-2 doesn't mean you have to file taxes, but if you make over a certain threshold, then you do have to file. And usually that deadline is April the 15th. Of every year. And by law, they're supposed to have it out. It's actually January 31st. I put by February 1st. And I think that's in the mail. So like sometimes I get mine. I feel like I get mine in March sometimes. I'm so angry it's so late. Some employers now make you log into a portal somewhere and you have to print out your own. But most of the time, traditionally in the past, it's been mailed. Okay. Box 1 is income subject to taxation. So that's the income that the federal government is going to base your taxes off of. Is that everything you've made? No, there are some deductions that you can make pre-tax. And so we're going to talk about some of those, but maybe you have a retirement plan, or maybe you have some kind of HSA or something where you put, or a pension where you take money out before it's taxed. So not all income is subject to federal income tax, but box 1 is what is subject to federal income tax. Box 2 is already paid. So when you guys get your paycheck and you make $12 an hour and you work 30 hours, is your paycheck the same as 12 times 30? Yes or no? No, it's not. And that's because taxes are taken out in advance. In the United States, you are responsible for prepaying your taxes. Okay, so we talk about April 17th as the day to pay your taxes, but really you're prepaying every time you get a paycheck. Okay. I'm talking a lot. If you guys have any questions or want me to expand on something, please let me know. Okay. If you make over what you prepay, like, so you fill out an I-9 form and you don't put down where you're gonna prepay a lot, you are required to pay quarterly. So like, for example, a few years ago, I had a really good season officiating. So I made a lot of money officiating, and I didn't get a W-2 for officiating all the time. And that is to say that when I'm paid, they don't take out taxes. And so I'm responsible for paying the taxes. And then also, I sold a bit of stock. And when you sell stock, or when you sell an asset like a car or a house, you're required to pay taxes on that profit. And so because I sold a bit of stock, I had a very big income, but I didn't prepay my taxes. And this is honestly, go through life, you learn. And the IRS charged me a penalty because I sent them like a $3,000 check in April. And I said, oh, here's the taxes I owe. And the IRS said, nope, you should have paid that earlier. You have to pay a penalty. So in the United States, you are required to prepay your taxes. That's why you fill out the I-9 form when you get hired on, and you'll elect how much taxes you want taken out of your paycheck. And if you just have those W-2 wages, that should suffice. Okay. Box 3 is almost gross income. So you'll see usually the Social Security wages are higher than the taxable income in box 1. And boxes 4 and 6 is FICA taxes. Okay, so boxes 4 and 6 are everybody pays Social Security and Medicare. Okay, and you know, there's some ways you can get out of income tax, and there's some ways you can deduct off that, and there's ways to manipulate the income tax, but everybody pays Social Security and Medicare. Okay, who can tell me what Medicare is for? What does Medicare mean? Maybe you guys know a family member on Medicare. Okay, Jesse, do you know what Medicare means?
Is it, I don't know, I'm just taking a guess. Is it something to do like if an accident was to happen, or like after you retire?
Okay, yeah, you're on the right path. Okay. Dalton, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I think it's just, it's like a health insurance,
Yes, health insurance for whom?
old retirees.
Old retirees, that's right. So when you guys, after you have a long, productive work history, you can get onto Medicare. What's the age? I think the age is 65. So when you turn 65, you're eligible for this insurance that the government provides. And so the idea is that you pay in to Medicare when you work, and then when you turn 65, the government is going to make sure you have health insurance until, you know, 65 and older. So as long as you're older than 65. And that way you guys can afford healthcare in this crazy healthcare environment. By the way, my personal opinion, I hate the way we do health insurance in the United States, and I think it's a travesty. And it also, you need to know about it because the number one reason why families declare bankruptcy in the United States is healthcare expenses. But when you retire or when you turn 65, whichever, not whichever happens first, but when you turn 65, retired or not, you will get health insurance for the rest of your life. And it's actually very good health insurance. So you're going to pay in now, you're going to pay in until you start working, until you stop working. And you will get that benefit for you. Okay. Now, I guess off that question, I guess I should back up and ask, what's Social Security? So Elisa, what's Social Security?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Dylan Boggs, do you know what Social Security is? Dylan, you there? I think Dylan left us. Okay. All right. I'm just, make a note of that. And okay. Madison, do you know what Social Security is?
Not sure. I just know it's a number that you have. Wait, yeah.
Sorry, can you speak up? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Is it like a number that you have?
Oh, what that you have? No, I didn't hear a thing that time.
Number?
A number? Oh, you have a number. Yeah, you do have a Social Security number. That's right. And that's that you have that number because you have Social Security benefits. And not everybody always had a Social Security benefit. Social Security came out in the 70s. And so the first Social Security number was issued in the 1970s. So 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, nobody had Social Security numbers. Does anybody want to take a stab at this definition? Okay, I don't know. Are we afraid to be wrong? Are we? Abby, do you want to take a stab at it? Do you know anybody on Social Security?
Like, do I know anyone that has Social Security?
Well, if you know somebody, then you might know a little bit more about what it is, or if you already know.
Yeah, my mom has it, but
Oh, there you go. Okay.
I mean, I don't really know. I think it's just like, I guess, like an assistance to like healthcare and stuff and like your income. I don't
It
really
is
know how to like go into detail about it.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, you're on the right track. Absolutely. Yeah, it's income assistance. Social Security is income assistance. And it comes in many forms. The biggest form comes from retirement income assistance. And so essentially it's a pension. When you turn 59 and a half, and you don't have to elect to receive at 59 and a half, you can delay it. And when you delay it, you can receive more. But starting at 59 and a half, you can apply to receive Social Security, and it is a monthly check. You get your Social Security check, and that way, when you get old and you retire, the federal government does not want you to be kicked out of your house, have all your possessions repossessed. Basically they want to make sure you have money to live on so you're not in abject poverty. That is Social Security. It is a pension, a monthly check, financial assistance that you receive, that you're eligible for when you come of age. And there's a second part of it, and that is that the Social Security also will cover disability. And so some of you guys might know or might have a relative who is disabled where they cannot work. And so that Social Security fund helps pay people who are not able to work and not able to, support themselves. And it is a vital part of the social safety net. So we are trying to have people not fall into poverty by offering Social Security. Okay. So same idea with Medicare. You pay into Social Security when you work, and it's a percentage of your paycheck. And then when you turn of age, you are eligible for it. And that's everybody. Like, you know, if you work, if you work as a janitor your whole life, you're eligible for Social Security. And if you work as the CEO of Ford, and you are eligible for Social Security, it's a right. Everybody gets access to it. Okay. All right. Any first thoughts or questions on Medicare or Social Security? Like, what are you guys thinking right now? Either comments or questions. Go ahead and type it in the chat box. Can they expire? Do you renew them? Okay, Lisa, good question. What does Social Security expire? No, you do have to fill out paperwork to enroll, not enroll, but to receive. So you have to choose when you get to elect to receive. You don't have to receive your Social Security when you turn 59 and a half. You can delay it. The longer you delay it, the more money you get. So they're essentially paying you on the back end for delaying receiving it. So you can either receive less over a longer period of time, or you can receive more over a shorter period of time. You don't have to renew it every single year. All you do is just fill out the forms, and then you're good. Your family has to fill out the forms to end Social Security after you die. And so that is a big point of contention, because inevitably some families will get in trouble, or some families will have to deal with someone because, you know, mother's been receiving Social Security checks, and she dies, and then her son might not want to tell the IRS that she did in fact pass away. And so, you know, people have tried to take advantage of that, but you don't mess with the IRS. That, you know, when you die, they know. All right, good question. Good question. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? I've heard of a 401k, but I'm not sure what it is. Is it similar to Social Security? Great question. Yes and no. A 401k is something that you set up, and a 401k is a savings account that you have that maybe your employer helps. And so your employer might say, okay, you can save $3,000 a year in this 401k, and then we're going to match you $3,000. So it's a joint thing. Your company is offering that as a perk of you working there, and it helps you retire. 401k is a vehicle for retirement, but a 401k is your personal responsibility. So you have to manage it or pay someone to manage it. And a 401k is just a savings account. So it can run out. A Social Security is managed by the federal government, and it is a pension, so it never runs out. It'll go, you know, if you turn 59 and a half and you get Social Security and you die at 62, you have that pension till you're 62. And if you turn 59 and a half and you file for Social Security and you live till 102, then you have Social Security till 102. It'll never run out. So that's the difference. The reason why 401ks are so good, like when people say, why should I get a 401k? Why don't I just put the money in the bank account? A 401k is an exempted account from the federal government for tax reasons. And so when you save in a 401k, you can't take your money out of it until you turn 59 and a half. So you can't withdraw it to buy a house. Like if you're at 36, you're like, oh, I want to buy this house, but I need some money. I'm going to take it out of. Oh, is it 10:30 already? Okay, Lisa, I'm so sorry. All right. Go to your class. I'm sorry. Does anybody else have to go? I didn't realize how much we talked. Okay. you do want to do a 401k because when you put money into the 401k, it's not taxed. Remember how we talked about on box one, that income is your taxable income. Well, when you save money in a 401k, it's not taxed. And so you get to hide that and it's not taxed. And the growth isn't taxed. So I think you pay a little bit of taxes when you take it out. But by the time you take it out, you're retired. So you get to control how much you take out and you can lower your tax burden. So like if you're making 70,000 a year, you lower your taxes by saving into IRA. So I'm sorry, 401k. So instead of paying taxes on 70,000, you might pay taxes on 60,000. And then when you take it out, you can take it out at a rate where you pay into a lower tax bracket. So it's very powerful for saving. Okay. Gross pay is your paycheck before deductions, before taxes. Net pay is your pay after deduction. So the check that you get or the amount put in your bank for direct deposit is your net pay, and your gross pay is just your wage times your hours. Taxable income is what the federal government sees and you pay in taxes, and FICA is Social Security and Medicare. This whole thing is percentages. So I'm just going to go over how to deal with the percentages. And so example one would be you buy a sweatshirt for $18.50 and you pay 6% tax. So it'd be $18.50 times, you have to move the decimal over too. So 1, 2. So don't put in 6, but you put in 0.06. And that tells you the taxes paid. You'd have to add that back to the $18.50. What you could do is you could say, I'm paying 100% of the shirt and then plus 6% of the taxes. And so it's 106% is the cost. That's a terrible 6. And so what you could do is you could say 1850 times 1.06. And that would be the total. This would be your total pay that you'd pay for the shirt. Okay. And then this would be, you'd have to add the 1850 back in. All right, does that make sense? Okay, so that's how to do the math for this worksheet. I gave one more example because this is adding and this is kind of like subtracting, and taxes are a subtraction, right? You make $500 a job and you have to pay 3%. That's like a tax. So it's $500 times 0.03. Remember, you have to move the decimal over. I'm struggling with this mouse right here. You the next Zoom call, you said you wanted to speak to me after the Zoom. Oh yeah. Yes. Send me a text message or email me and let's get together and talk. Okay. So sometime 3rd or 4th. All right. Thank you, Jesse. And this will be here. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to leave this video up so you guys, that everybody can see how to do it. So that's how much you paid in taxes. And you can do the take home. It would be 500. And you can do 0.97 for the total pay, right? Because you take away 3%. So this would be 100% minus 3%. And that would be your take home. Okay. All right. Do you guys remember doing the percentages? Yes. Okay, good. So that's how to do it. So when you guys look at, let's clear this off. Here's the exit slip. Come on. Where's the exit slip? It's your paycheck too. So the percentage is 7.65. The amount that you pay in FICA every year is 7.65. Okay. So gross income is, you know, the wage times the hours, and then paid biweekly means you have 2 weeks in every paycheck. So, you know, you get 20 hours a week, but it's really 2 hours a week. Okay. All right. And then here's the W2 questions right here. And then give me your feedback. Okay. I did grade. It's your paycheck 1. So if you go back, you can see your scores and you can edit that and resubmit it if you want more points. I did leave comments for some people. So, you know, feel free to click in and see the comments I left. If I disagreed with your answer, maybe I really did agree with your answer, I did that. Okay. All right, guys. Questions? I'm going to stop recording. And